In the ancient land of One, where the great river Omambala flowed with mystical waters and the ancestors watched from behind the veil of time, there lived a respected man of God named Chinwuba. The people called him Uba for short, and his name truly matched his purpose, for it meant God owns prosperity. At 32 years old, he was the youngest chief priest the village had ever known, and his dedication to the gods and ancestral spirits was unmatched. Chinwuba's compound sat at the edge of the village, close to the sacred grove where he performed his rituals and communed with the spirit world. His mother, Adana, had raised him alone after his father died during a hunting expedition when Chinwuba was just 7 years old. Now, Adana spent her days helping her son prepare medicines and receiving visitors who came seeking spiritual guidance. The people of One respected Chinwuba not just for his spiritual powers, but for his handsomeness too. He stood tall and strong, with shoulders broad like a warrior's and skin smooth like polished ebony. Many young women in the village hoped to catch his eye, but Chinwuba remained focused on his sacred duties, believing that the gods would send him a wife when the time was right. What nobody knew was that in the depths of the Omambala River lived a beautiful mermaid named Adaezi. For centuries, her kind had dwelled in the underwater kingdom of Mamiri, watching the humans above with curiosity and sometimes mischief. Adaez was different from her sisters. While they were content to swim in the deep waters and occasionally cause trouble for fishermen, she found herself drawn to the surface world, particularly to the handsome priest she observed during his morning prayers by the riverbank. Every dawn, as Chinwuba came to make his offerings and say his prayers, Adaez would hide behind the thick river reeds, watching him with growing fascination. His deep voice as he chanted the ancient prayers made her heart flutter in ways she had never known. His gentleness when handling the sacred items and his strength when helping villagers cross the river during the flood season all added to her growing infatuation. One particular morning, as the Harmattan winds brushed against the river's surface, Adaez made a decision that would change both their lives forever. She approached Mirioma, the ancient witch of the waters, seeking a spell that would give her human form. "My child," Mirioma warned, her silver scales glinting in the underwater light, "the price for such magic is heavy. You will have 7 market weeks to win his heart truly. If you fail, you will turn to foam upon the waters, never to take form again. Are you willing to pay such a price for love?" Adaez didn't hesitate. "I am willing, Great One. My heart already lives in the world above." The old witch sighed, knowing the painful path that lay ahead. She began brewing her potion in a shell of giant proportions, mixing river pearls with moonlight captured during the last full moon, adding tears of a grieving crocodile, and finally 3 drops of Adaezi's own blood. "Drink this as you break the surface of the water at sunrise," Mirioma instructed. "The transformation will be painful, but your beauty will remain. Remember, you must win his true love, not just his desire, before the 7 market weeks are done." That night, Adaezi could hardly sleep, her tail swishing nervously through the warm river water. As the first rays of sun painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, she swam to the surface, clutching the shell containing her potion. With trembling hands, she drank the mixture just as her head broke through the water. The pain was excruciating, as if every scale was being torn from her body. Her beautiful tail split into 2 legs, and her gills sealed themselves shut. When the transformation was complete, Adaezi found herself standing in the shallow waters, wearing a wrapper made from river silk that Mirioma had provided. It was during this moment of vulnerability that Chinwuba arrived for his morning prayers. He found her there, seemingly struggling in the water, and rushed to help. As he carried her to shore, their eyes met, and both felt a jolt of recognition, though Chinwuba couldn't understand why this stranger seemed so familiar. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice filled with concern. "Where did you come from?" Adaez had practiced her story well. "I am from the village of Umudiana, across the river," she said, her voice melodious even in human form. "I was traveling to visit my aunt when my canoe capsized in the dark." Chinwuba immediately offered her shelter in his compound, where his mother could help her recover. Adana, though initially suspicious of the mysterious beautiful woman, couldn't help but be charmed by Adaezi's gentle nature and willing hands. Within days, Adaiz had learned to pound yam perfectly and helped prepare herbs for Chinwuba's spiritual work. The village buzzed with gossip about the beautiful stranger staying in the chief priest's compound. Some said she must be a princess, given her unusual beauty and grace. Others whispered that perhaps she was sent by the gods themselves as a reward for Chinwuba's dedication. Adaiz learned quickly about human ways, though some things still confused her. She would sometimes stare too long at her feet, marveling at how they carried her across the land. She would sing songs in strange melodies that seemed to come from the depths of the river itself, and the children of the village would gather to listen, entranced. As the days passed, Chinwuba found himself drawn to Adaiz in ways he had never experienced before. Her questions about the spirits and gods showed a deep understanding that surprised him. When she helped him prepare for ceremonies, her movements seemed to flow like water, graceful and purposeful. But the path of love never runs smooth, and their growing connection faced its challenges. Nwando, the daughter of the village chief, had long hoped to become Chinwuba's wife. When she saw how he looked at Adaizi, her jealousy turned to suspicion. Nwando began to investigate Adaizi's story, sending messengers to Umudiana village. When they returned saying no one there knew of a woman matching Adaizi's description, Nwando saw her chance to expose what she believed was a deceiver. During the next New Yam festival, as the village gathered to celebrate, Nwando stood up to speak. "Our chief priest harbors a stranger who tells lies," she declared. "No one in Umudiana knows her. Who is she really? Perhaps she is a spirit sent to lead our priest astray." The villagers began to murmur, their celebrations forgotten. Chinwuba looked at Adaize, seeing fear in her eyes for the first time since he'd known her. But before he could speak in her defense, Adaize stood up, her dignity wrapping around her like a cloak. "I will tell you who I am," she said, her voice carrying across the gathering. "I am one who has loved your priest from afar, watching him serve his people with dedication and kindness. I am one who chose to leave behind everything I knew for a chance at love." She turned to Chinwuba, tears shining in her eyes. "I am not from Umudiana. I am from the kingdom beneath the waves, a daughter of Mamiri. I gave up my life in the waters to walk among humans, to be near you, Chinwuba." A gasp went through the crowd. Some people backed away in fear, while others moved closer. Fascinated, Chinwuba stood still, memories flooding his mind. The strange melodies, her grace that seemed otherworldly, the way she always seemed to know when the rains would come. "Show us," Nwando demanded. "If you are truly a mermaid, prove it." Adaize walked slowly to the river, the villagers following at a distance. Standing at the water's edge, she began to sing. It was a song of the deep waters, of ancient mysteries and eternal love. The river began to glow with an ethereal light, and fish jumped in patterns that matched her melody. But proving her nature meant revealing her secret, and with only one market week remaining of her 7, the magic began to fade. As she sang, her legs began to shimmer, threatening to dissolve into foam. Chinwuba rushed forward, understanding at last why his heart had recognized her from the first moment. "Wait," he called out. "I don't need proof. I know who you are. You are the one who has brought light to my days and depth to my understanding of the sacred. You have shown me that love can bridge any distance, even that between land and water." He took her hands in his, stopping her song. "I love you, Adaize, whether you walk on legs or swim with a tail. Stay with me, not as a mermaid or a human, but as yourself, the one who was brave enough to cross worlds for love." As he spoke these words, something magical happened. The river began to sparkle with thousands of tiny lights, and Mirioma's voice echoed across the water. "The spell is transformed by true love freely given. Adaize, you may now choose your form at will, belonging both to land and water, for love has proved stronger than any magic." The villagers watched in awe as Adaize glowed with a soft light. When it faded, she remained standing on human legs, but now a pattern of subtle scales shimmered across her skin in the moonlight, marking her as a bridge between two worlds. Nwando, seeing the blessing of the water spirits themselves, dropped to her knees and begged forgiveness for her jealousy. Adaize helped her up, understanding that fear and love often spring from the same source in human hearts. The celebration that followed lasted 7 days and 7 nights. The water spirits sent gifts of river pearls and magical fish that could sing like birds. The land spirits blessed the union with abundant crops and gentle rains. And Adana, crying tears of joy, finally had the daughter she had always wanted. Chinwuba and Adaizi's union changed One forever. Their love proved that the boundaries between the spiritual and physical worlds were not as fixed as people had believed. The chief priest and his mermaid wife became legendary for their wisdom in both human and spiritual matters. They had 4 children who carried the magic of both worlds in their blood. Some said that on full moon nights the whole family could be seen swimming in the river, Adaizi's tail glinting silver in the moonlight, while Chinwuba and the children swam with the strength of fish. During the day, they lived as respected leaders of their community, teaching others that love could indeed bridge any divide. And so it was that the land of One became known as a place where magic and reality danced together, where the spirits smiled upon true love, and where a mermaid and a priest proved that the heart knows no boundaries between land and sea. Even today, they say that if you go to the Omambala River at dawn and listen carefully, you might hear Adayezi's morning song, a melody that speaks of love strong enough to change destiny itself. And in the chief priest's compound, now managed by their descendants, they still tell this tale to remind people that the greatest magic of all is the courage to love completely, even when that love asks us to cross the boundaries of everything we thought we knew. The villagers learned to respect the river in a new way, understanding that its depths held mysteries and wonders beyond their imagining. And in time, the story of Chinwuba and Adayeze became more than just a tale. It became a lesson about the power of love to transform not just 2 lives, but an entire community. As for Chinwuba and Adayeze, they lived their lives in perfect balance between the worlds of land and water, proving that when love is true, it creates its own magic, stronger than any spell or tradition. Their story continues to be told in One, a reminder that the greatest adventures of the heart are those that dare to dream beyond the boundaries of what seems possible. And so ends the tale of the Mermaid of One River, a story of love, courage, and the magic that happens when we open our hearts to possibilities beyond our understanding. As they say in Igboland, Oge Gwuru, meaning the time has passed, but the magic of their love lives on in every ripple of the Omambala River, and in every heart that dares to love beyond boundaries.
Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share.